Hi, I'm Pastor Kurt, and this is your 5-minute Bible study. Today we're going to be looking at Deuteronomy chapter 30, starting at verse 11. Now, many people are not familiar with the book of Deuteronomy. It's kind of bland and boring, but there is some really neat stuff in it. One thing to pay attention to in the book of Deuteronomy is that it's basically a really long farewell speech by Moses. So the setting of Deuteronomy is Moses and the people of Israel. They've left Egypt, they've crossed the Red Sea, they've wandered in the wilderness, they've received the 10 Commandments, and now they've made it to the edge of the Promised Land. Moses cannot go with them into the Promised Land. His successor, Joshua, is the one who's going to take them in. Moses can see the Promised Land, but he's not allowed to go in. So as Moses stands there at the edge of the Promised Land, he gives the people some parting words. And this is the book of Deuteronomy. This is his big farewell speech to them. Well, in this section in chapter 30, Moses basically reminds the people, choose life, not death. Seems pretty straightforward. But what he's talking about is basically choosing to follow God and not following all of the other idols and gods that are already in this land. Because remember, there were people who were already living in the Promised Land. They've already got their own society, their own culture, their own gods that they worship. Even though God promised this land to the people of Israel, when they enter, they have to deal with the people who are already living there. And so Moses tells them, before they enter, stay true to God. Remain faithful to the God who has been with you all this time. This God who led you out of Egypt, who gave you manna in the wilderness, who gave you the 10 Commandments, this God who has always been faithful to you, you now need to stay faithful to this God. The people, of course, will say, yes, Moses, of course we will. We agree with you. Let's stay faithful to God. Well, as the story goes on and they enter the Promised Land, they quickly forget to do that. They end up worshiping the gods of this land. So let's think about how Moses is doing right here. He knows that he can't go with the people as they enter this new chapter in their life. And he reminds them to stay true to God. Think about times in your life when you have led a group of people, maybe even just your kids, and they are now starting a new chapter in their life that you can't go there with them. Maybe they're going to school. Maybe they're going off to college. Maybe they're getting married. Maybe they're starting a life of their own somewhere. Whatever the case may be, you want to give them some good parting words to remember. And some really good ones are stay faithful to God. Remember how God has been with you, how God has taken care of you all this time. God will take care of you as you enter this new chapter. And the people you're talking to might say, yes, of course, I agree with you. Well, but then what happens sometimes? Sometimes they make bad choices. Sometimes they do things that do not show God's love to others. Sometimes they do things that do not show that they're following God. And you can't do anything about it. Moses couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't go with the people into the Promised Land. All he could do was remind them of the faithfulness of God who has been with them all this time. Well, the people will quickly learn that they need to follow God. But Moses, in this moment, is trying to remind the people, before you enter this new chapter, stay faithful to God. Thankfully, even though the people did not remain faithful to God, God remained faithful to them. Even though they gave God a lot of frustration and a lot of sadness, even though they didn't live the way God wanted, God was still with them, still looking out for them, still caring for them, just as God does for us. So no matter what group of people or what person you're seeing off into a new chapter in life, remember that even if you can't go with them, that God still does. And no matter what choices they make, God will still be with them, will still love them, and will still be there to guide them. There's your 5-minute Bible study for today. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.